everybody. So I'm having the devil's own time with my camera. Lily, be quiet. It's just me. So I may not be able to do this for very long, but today I am making Flourless Chocolate Cake as part of the Lucky Santangelo Cook Book, which I bought off of Amazon. And in celebration of Garbagas, which is my favorite day of the year, well, favorite month of the year, I should say. Sorry, I'm just calling it up here. And lucky for me, it was on sale when I bought it. It was like $2.99 or something. So let's go to the Flourless Chocolate Cake. Excuse me a minute while I wash my hands and put this in the... Now, this is for some very fancy people because, you know, Lucky's rich, but I'm doing this the pleb way. So instead of melting my butter on the stove, we're doing it in the microwave. Beep. And of course, I just knocked my rotating tray down. Lily, stop barking. It's just me. And yes, you're gonna get a chorus in the background. My dog decides she won't come and help, but boy, she'll talk back to me. But I think once she figures out that Auntie has food, she usually comes. Okay, we'll start with 45 seconds. I gotta wash my hands too, because you never know where they've been. Now the next thing on the recipe is chocolate. Now the recipe just says bittersweet chocolate. So I'm going with the dark chocolate chips. Nothing fancy. Again, I bought them at Food Basics. And of course, you know, you get the big bag because the little bag will be for one recipe, but the big bag you can obviously use for more. Woohoo! So, and I think after this, I'll be making some banana chocolate chip muffins, probably tomorrow though, because the bananas are ripe, or overripe. Yeah, so we get these bananas, and they're green until they're black. They're never actually edible. So I just put them in the fridge or freezer for banana bread. All right, now let's see what's going on with the... Oh! There's the butter. Butter. Okay. Now I'm gonna mix this up a little. And then put it back because we got the... Yeah, a little bit of the foil from the package came over with it. Lucky it wasn't enough to spark off in the microwave. So I'm just going to mix this up a bit, and then I'm going to add my chocolate chips. Now it says 12 ounces of bittersweet chocolate roughly chopped, which I figured out is about 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. So there's a little less than a cup there. I'm going to add some more when I put them in the butter. Butter. Just making sure I didn't drop any more foil. All right, so this being Garbagas, I guess I should explain exactly what Garbagas is. It's over on YouTube. Every year we have a celebration of trashy books, right? Now, obviously, being a horror fan, I tend to review a lot of indie horror, you know, the ones with the god-awful covers that look like they were made in Crayola or MS Paint. Or I have, believe it or not, actually reviewed 1 or 2 AI written books. You know how you can tell that they're AI written? Or at least this particular one. The person didn't really take a lot of time to edit it, and the last chapter was repeated a couple of times. I'm like, I think I read this before. And right now there's apparently I haven't read the article yet. Apparently there is an HWA article about AI, and not just pro or con, but it's about the utter division that we're seeing between people who don't mind AI, use AI, and people absolutely loathe AI. And, you know, friendships are ending, and people are bullying each other, and, you know, the fact of the matter, in my opinion, is that in a year it's not really going to matter, because AI is already everywhere. You can't avoid it. But I think that AI shouldn't be used for creative stuff. I think it should be used for research, because that's really where it shines. Stuff like increasing capacity on x-rays. And I was just reading an article about capuchin monkeys who have figured they put a computer screen in the jungle, and they like to go up to it, and they figured out how to push the right buttons, and they get a banana. I mean, that's awesome. And that's all AI. And it allows to observe primates in such a way that isn't going to disturb them, isn't going to disturb any kind of, well, I mean, yes, there is a certain disruption of the natural order, obviously, just by the fact of human presence, but there's much less than if you have Jane Goodall there playing with the gorillas, right? So, although the one thing that, now, if this thing is real and not just an AI generated thing to scare me, in China they have created a T-800, a soldier robot that is fully functional, and it's a fighting robot, and it's kind of scary. I'll dig up the little clip that I was watching and show you. It's kind of freaky. So maybe for Garbogust I'll have to read. I think I have a Terminator novelization or 2 kicking around from previous years that I didn't finish. That's one thing that I do want to do. I always want to do every year. I always want to try and catch up on the books that I didn't finish, because Garbogust sometimes ends up being a DNF month. Alright, now the recipe says to melt this on the stove, then put it in a bowl, then add some other stuff, and then to put it in a pan, in a prepared pan. So I'm going to give this a minute to rest because it's not quite melted yet, but I don't want to put it back in the microwave just yet. Sorry. Concentration kind of makes it a little. Can't do 2 things at once, right? I can't walk and chew gum either. Alright. I have a couple of books by celebrities, so I did manage to finish Goddess of Vengeance by Lucky Santangelo, so I'll talk about that. Now, I absolutely love the Lucky Santangelo series. You know what? I hope Netflix or another streaming service develops it as a series, because it would be absolutely amazing. They start with the Gino the Ram story with Chances, and then when Lucky's an adult, you do the Lucky novel, and then Lady Boss, And then the one after Lady Boss is Vendetta, Lucky's Revenge. And then the one that I read last year, Dangerous Kiss, I think it's called. And then there are a couple in there that I didn't read because they were just stupid expensive. I couldn't afford them. And there's a grand total of 10 in the series, so there's lots of material. And obviously each season could be 1 or 2 of the books. Okay, let's see. This is nice and melty. Look at that. Ooh. Okay. Okay, so preheat 375, pour a bit of canola oil onto a folded paper towel, rub a 9-inch springform pan. Okay, I've got my springform pan and my oil, but I don't have canola oil. I'm using vegetable oil. Like I said, we're going total plug here. Ow. Yeah, my knees are not getting any looser over here. Oops. All right, so this book is I believe the third last, and the second last is just kind of a retelling of a section of chances and it takes place when Lucky was a teenager. So it's basically Lucky's diary, I guess. So I don't think I'm gonna drop $30 on it. But this book, now Lucky has just opened, or she's maybe a year or two into the ownership of a hotel slash compound, apparently, slash apartment set slash luxury whatever, called the Keys. And it's kind of been her dream to open this thing, and she's got all her rich friends investing, and her daughter Max is turning 18, so they're going to have Max's birthday party and an investors meeting in Vegas. And while everybody's out, Max has this enormous wild teenage party where her druggy friends show up, and this actor shows up. And the actor used to be married to Lucky's best friend, who is also an actress, but a much more famous actress than Billy. So Billy and Max sleep together, despite him being in his 30s and her being 3 days from being 18. A little weird, but what are you going to do? And okay. So Max kind of, obviously this is the first time and it's the one and blah, blah, blah. Ooh, I don't know if I've got enough oil in here, but it's a non-stick pan, so hopefully it'll be okay. And Billy kind of says, well, maybe not the right time, and his creepy friend shows up, and so it doesn't quite work out for poor Max. So she's like, okay, well, screw this guy, and they go off to Vegas, and her boyfriend, her long-distance boyfriend shows up, and she's like, oh, I just banged this other guy. What am I going to do? Alrighty. Melt chocolate and chocolate and butter. Melt the chocolate mixture. Remove from heat and transfer to a large bowl. Stir in the sugar. Okay, 1 cup of sugar coming up. Okay. And there's the whisk. Alright, now the parallel side story is that there's this super rich guy, and he's the prince of an Middle Eastern fictitious country called Akramshar. I should have called it Agrabah, but I guess that's a Disney prop. A Disney reference, and it's and Disney tends to be litigious. Okay. And so this guy, well, his father is the king of Akramshar, and his mother is a Vegas showgirl who's one of like 40 or whatever wives that he has. And so he's, you know, 20th in the line of succession. He'll never be king. But this guy is a complete billionaire asshole. And he is an asshole. Like, he's a terrible character. And he wants to buy the keys. And he's the kind of guy that nobody's ever said no to him because he's so rich that, you know, everybody's got a price. So, but Lucky does say no to him, which of course pisses him off because he's a very misogynistic asshole. And he vows that he's going to get his revenge. But he is also a cokehead. So, a rich asshole with a coke problem is not a very clear-thinking asshole, despite all of his business acumen. So, he gets kicked out of the Keys and goes to the hotel across the street. Now, most of Jackie Collins' plots are, you get introduced to a bunch of characters who run around and do a lot of stuff. They go to clubs, they get high, they shop, they have sex, they go to, you know, various places, but eventually they all converge in one place. And usually, in this one place, someone gets kidnapped, or something blows up, or someone gets shot, or a combination of the three. So, yeah, pretty typical Jackie Collins plot. But the fun is spending time with these ridiculous rich characters who, you know, obviously do things that you can't do. And she has a way of making the characters fun and compelling, and Lucky especially is a great character. So, okay, melt the chocolate mixture, stir in the sugar. Okay, now 6 eggs, one at a time, whisking well after each addition. Alrighty. Okay, let's put my chocolate chips over here. Now, if you like trashy novels, Jackie Collins is obviously going to be the way you go, because so much fun. And, you know, R.I.P., she passed away a few years ago, so. But apparently the Santangelos, which is the 10th novel in the series, is the last one. And I managed to find a used copy of the paperback on Amazon. And so I ordered it, and I will probably be reviewing that later in the month. Okay, let's see if I can crack an egg without getting a shell in here. Yay! Oop, there it goes. Okay. No shells. Good. And these eggs are dated yesterday, so they'd probably be scandalous. Because, you know, Lucky Santangelo would never use less than fresh ingredients. She probably uses those, like, $10 each duck eggs or something that Gwyneth Paltrow uses. So, now, the problem with the characters is, of course, they tend to be stereotypes. You know, Max is the rebellious teenager. Lucky is the take no bullshit strong woman. Lenny is whatever. And this guy being from the Middle East, a brown guy who hates women, is just on the side of cringeworthy. But I think that we can kind of forgive it because she's careful not to well, it's not so much that she's careful not to stereotype as all of her characters are stereotypes. So if you point out one or another, you kind of gotta go through the list, right? And he's also a fully developed character as far as any Jackie Collins characters will be. I mean, and he's actually not a bad villain. Oh, I just lost my recipe. I mean, as far as villains go, right? He's not as good as the Bonatti family villains, but they're all pretty much dead. I think once you start pulling second and third cousins out of the family, they're just, you've kind of gone everywhere you can with the crime family. Oops. Alright. That's 2. I also hope that this recipe calls for a cup of cocoa powder. I'm getting low on my cocoa powder, so I hope there's enough. Ooh, look at that. That looks so nice and chocolatey. Okay, so that's 2 eggies. Let's see here. One of the things I find kind of hilarious about the Lucky cookbook is that we don't actually see Lucky cook all that often. We see her heat up soup. We see her, you know, have orange juice and coffee for breakfast. But we never actually see her cook that much. So maybe there's like a implied chef here. Excuse me. Or maybe she just does that off screen, so to speak. Now the other book that I started this week that I'm not 100% sure I'm going to finish because it's kind of boring is when Garbagas came up, I decided that I wanted to focus, not necessarily only, but quite a bit on books written by people who aren't really writers, so celebrities, and I don't mean tell-alls, I mean novels. So the first one that I pulled out is The Truth About Diamonds by Nicole Richie, and it's supposed to be semi-autobiographical because it's written from the perspective of a character, first person, named Nicole, who was on The Simple Life. So, I mean, it's herself, but then all the people that she's writing about are fictitious. And the main character, she's writing as the first person point of view, but the main character of the story is this friend of hers named Chloe. Now, Chloe was abandoned by her parents and adopted at a Prince concert sometime in the 80s. And because her mother was one of those ladies who likes to go around and I'm with the band kind of deal. And obviously having a toddler is going to kind of dampen your style if you're doing that. Ooh. This is actually kind of starting to feel like some kind of batter. Maybe there's hope for it yet. Alright. I didn't quite expect it to be so gelatinous. Oops, I just made a big mess. Okay, note to self. Don't pull that out while it's still turning. And the unfortunate fact is that Chloe is a drug addict, and she's trying to quit because they have this other friend, Simone, who seems to very much be modeled on Paris Hilton. And Simone has just scored a series of reality-based commercials. So the premise is that there's going to be this camera crew following the girls around, but they can't do it if Chloe's high. And Nicole kind of has to keep bailing Chloe out. So, did I get my vanilla out? I don't think I did. Ooh, okay. 6. Okay. Chocolate, remove from heat, stir in sugar, add eggs, sift the cocoa. Wait. Oh, milk and vanilla is for the glaze. Okay. We're still getting there. But unlike Jackie Collins' knack for making rich assholes interesting, Nicole Richie doesn't have that same talent. These people are boring and stupid and obnoxious. They're a bunch of boring rich kids. Like, when your addiction is your personality, it doesn't make you interesting. It just makes you an idiot. And as much as I will frequently read about idiots or watch them on YouTube, sometimes maybe I just like a little bit more. But this is Garb August. I will try to finish it, but if I don't, I'll let you know. Okay, so all the eggs are in. We're gonna keep beating this. I should have used maybe a bigger bowl. I didn't realize there was gonna be this much. A little goober at the end of the egg. Is that like the center or something? I don't know. Anyway. Yes, no gelatinous goobers in the cake. Now, I had a cake one time that I think was flourless, and it was very sweet and very rich. So, I think this is going to be something similar. Now, I did not turn, okay, 375. Yeah, I gotta be careful not to step in my own chocolate mess here. Okay, while that preheats, come on. Yeah, that's what I thought. Ugh, gross. Okay. We've got our prepared cake pan, springform pan. Now we gotta keep working on this batter. This chocolate just smells so good and chocolatey. Yum, 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 yum. Look at that. I'm getting chocolate all over my little... Getting chocolate all over this little beater. Now, where normal people would probably use egg beaters, I kind of like this little thing. I bought it on Temu for, I don't know, it was like $4 or something. And you just plug it in with a little USB and away you go. And it's got a pretty good battery life. Look at that. Okay, so we've got chocolate dripping all over the place. And we need to, move that. And we will get out the cocoa. So in this recipe, it's almost like cocoa kind of takes the place of flour, right, in the dry goods thing. I was watching a guy making a cake on YouTube the other day, and he said that if you're making a chocolate cake, he showed how to add a bunch of stuff to it so that it tastes homemade rather than from mix. And he said when you flour the pan, instead of using flour, so you got all that white stuff, use cocoa powder to do that. So you got a nice little cocoa thing happening, cocoa coating around your cake, which I thought was really nice idea. Oh, and the recipe calls for good quality cocoa, like Ghirardelli, but that stuff's like $30 for 8 ounces of it or something. And I would be using it all in this one cake, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's just taking it a little far here. Okay, I think that's about a cup. Oh, look at that. I have more than I thought. I thought I only had about a cup left. Okay, where did my lid go? There it is. Ooh. Alright, so now we get to blend in the cocoa powder. Just do this a little at a time because it looks like it's going to get kind of, probably going to thicken up a little. Yum. It's very chocolatey. I don't know, does it help if I hold it up so you can see what I'm doing? Alright. Now, the one thing that I found was kind of missing from, Goddess of Vengeance, was Bridget. The character Bridget wasn't in there. But, you know, maybe the fact that Bridget just gets, you know, kidnapped and essayed and, you know, hooked on drugs, and you know, she's kind of the damsel in distress for so many books. Maybe it was nice to give her a break and she's away doing her modeling thing. And I wonder if the introduction of the characters in the previous book were a little bit of a move into starting another series. But I guess we'll never know unless somebody does a V.C. Andrews and takes up for the Jackie Collins estate. It's kind of sad when she died. I think it was cancer. And I don't think she was that old. I think she was in her 60s. So, but, you know, she had a great life and she wrote a lot of really entertaining books. So I hope I do something as meaningful as she and fun as she did. Speaking of fun, I I've started taking swimming lessons, which if you've been following along my Facebook, you probably know already. So this past week we were working on flutter kicks, both backwards and forwards. And my roommate used to be a lifeguard and swim instructor, so she lent me her goggles, which makes it a lot easier to put my face in the water. I'm not so freaked out by having to close my eyes and go, Well, that's been fun. I hope to get there again on Friday. And my bus pass is supposed to come today, so that'll make things a lot easier. Didn't get to go as much as I wanted to last month because I kind of ran out of bus tickets. So oh, look at that! Look at that! Ooh, yum 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 yum. Okay. My dog's gonna be really upset that she can't have any, but ooh, it's looking very battery. Okay. So forgive me if I'm not talking as I'm doing this. I trying to concentrate and not make even more of a mess. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, yum, 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 yum. I bet I could probably cook these in smaller dishes like ramekins and make little cakes, little flourless cakes. Ooh. This batter's starting to get very thick and a lot harder to stir. And there's a lot of little lumps of cocoa in here. I don't know if you can see that. By the way, I've got Paul and Brad watching. Hello. Welcome. Nothing better to do than watch me cook on a Wednesday, I guess. Ooh. And the weather was really nice this morning when I took Lily out. Chocolate hands now. Let's do some more blending. Now, since this is flourless, when I put it into bake, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to know when it's actually done. I mean, other than the instructions, right? In my oven, the temperature is a little bit, so okay, let's put it on high speed. Look at that. I don't even see that. Nice and thick. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, okay, I guess I just ran out of juice on that. Oh well, that's pretty much blended anyway. Yeah, she's out of juice. Look at that. Look at how delicious that looks. And yes, I will be licking this, but not right now. Okay, so I guess we're done blending. I'm going to give it another quick stir by hand. And there's still a few little pops of cocoa powder in there, but that'll be a surprise, right? Okay, so here's my prepared cake pan. I'm gonna grab I gotta wash my hands again, excuse me. Yep, I'm just over here. I know you can't see me. This is part of my kitchen. Now my hands are clean. Alrighty, where do I have a... Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's see what else. Ooh. Okay, so now I place, okay, so we got chocolate, we got the butter, we got chocolate mixture, remove from heat, stir in sugar, which I did, add the eggs, sift cocoa into the bowl and stir until just blended, pour the batter into the prepared cake pan. Bake for 35 to 40 minutes, or until the cake has risen and the top has formed a thin crust. Okay. I'm going to pull this table over here so I don't twist my back out trying to do this. Oh. And yes, I cook sitting down, because my knees, as my cousin used to put it, got them a collapsible knees. All right. There's my oven. Yeah, I wish I could set up my camera to get the pouring of the batter into the bowl, because it's quite delicious looking. That's how the influencers do it, right? But I'm not an influencer. I'm just a bad baker. Okay. And I will bring you guys over here, show you my, won't show you my garbage though. I'll put my garbage over here. Now I probably got chocolate on my face too. All right, let's see what we got here. Can I turn the camera? Ooh, look at that. Look at how nice that is. Oh, and I think my camera's actually about to run out of batteries. Oh, I'm down to... Oh, I'm about to run out. Okay, I gotta go. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.